Okay, hello everyone. Mic check. Just gonna do this real quick. All right, I think that sounds okay. Let me pop out the chat and get chat in the right location so I can see people when I am painting. Um, I also need just a second to get the cameras in the right place because I have a sleeping cat uh, in my lap. So yeah, just I was hoping he would get up and leave by now, but he decided no, he's gonna just take a nap. I hate to disturb him, but I'm gonna have to. Dresden, you gotta get up, little boy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, little boy. I know. I'm sorry. Here you go. You can have my chair for now. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I was doing all the computer setup, and he took advantage of that opportunity and just plopped down, which, usually I don't mind. I enjoy, but, you know, yeah, for the cat owners out there, you know what it's. Uh, He looks so betrayed. Feels so bad. All right, face cam needs to be reset. There we go. Face cam. You working face cam? All right, face cam is working. Hey everyone, let me fix this real quick. Needs a slight adjustment because I dared move something. And every time I move something, I have to make a ton of adjustments. All right. Hey, hey Michael, welcome. How you doing today? Like I said, I'm just making some final adjustments. The thing that's so frustrating with these adjustments is that like when you move things around, it messes up the distortion or the warp, and then you have to keep, like, warping it more. It's such a weird, funky system that I don't think works all that well, but, whatever. The best there is at the moment. That looks fairly good, I think. Yeah, that looks close. How are you doing today, Michael? How's your weekend going? Happy birthday! I'm glad you made it to another one. How's your birthday going? Do you do anything special to celebrate? I hope you're not like me when it comes to your birthday. I don't think anyone should be like me, but I struggle with my birthday. I I personally uh have always well, not always. I think as a child I liked my birthday, but I would say around the age of like 19 or so, I started getting depressed when I'd have my birthday because of like I wasn't where I wanted to be. I never am, and so that's always I always get depressed on my birthday. The only thing I really like about my birthday is that all my family members and my friends call me. And that always makes me feel really nice. So that part I like. The rest of it I struggle with. Cheers, went to a meal with the wife, although we are not big on birthdays. That's fair. Yeah, I totally feel that, you know. Like I said, I straight up like get depressed on my birthday and have to really, really work hard not to get very depressed on my birthday. I used to not be good at that. I'm getting better, but yeah. As far as like celebrating my birthday, I usually don't go for much celebration wise. I'm not a big like, big party or anything. I like doing dinner with friends and family and stuff like that. Like it's always good to see people that you know, like and care about. So that's always, that's something I'm always up for. Oh, oh, I'm so glad I got the mute button in time. Uh, it is it's sometimes when the sneeze just comes up fast, it's really hard to hit that mute button quickly, especially because the little Bluetooth keyboard that I use for when I'm streaming, it tends to go to sleep if I don't touch it for long enough. So I have to hit the mute twice, but I have to make sure that I'm not muting and unmuting type of thing. So I have to hit it twice, but also make sure that I'm not hitting it actually hitting it twice. Uh, when you get to a certain age, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, moving things around in a painting without mucking it up. Yeah, well, definitely when you get to a certain age, it stops feeling the same. That's for sure. I always just felt like, I'm behind. Like, oh, there are people who are far more successful than me at younger ages, and it drives me nuts. And that's always where my issue was. Um, and to an extent, still is. Like, I still have issues and struggle with that. And part of it is, well, it's one of those things where it's like you really shouldn't compare yourself to other people in that manner because you don't know what their life really has been like, and you don't know how even if they tell you how they got there, there's so many things that we're not aware of that are going on. And also, like choices, like I wanted to do comic books originally. Now I'm getting into, now I'm trying to make oil painting full time. That's very different. So you make changes in your life and, they'll really mess up your trajectory sometimes. Sometimes, not always. But yeah. It's definitely tough, especially I think it's something that artists generally struggle with because there's a degree of competition kind of built into it and self-identifying with your art too, which can always be a problem as well. I don't quite understand your comment about, yeah, moving things around in the painting without mucking it up. Not sure what you're referring to specifically, if there's something specific. I could just be very dense at the moment. That does happen too. Generally, I try not to, ruin the painting while I'm painting it, but I'm also less worried about that now than I used to be, years and years ago. Because now if I mess up a painting, to me it just means that like midway, it just means more time to fix it because I'm confident in my ability to fix it. Um but earlier in my art journey I was not confident that I could always fix it. It was like, oh, if I mess up that eye, that's the end of the drawing is messed up. And now it very much is like, if I mess up the eye, whatever, I'll fix it, I'll just do it again, or I'll just wipe that part out and do it again. I won't even try to like fix it, I'll just do it over. Which honestly is sometimes a lot easier than trying to fix something. Yeah, sometimes fixing it is just not worth the hassle. Mm. Just trying to fix things in paintings can be hard, yeah. 100%. You are 100 times better than most artists on YouTube. Well, I appreciate that very much. That's very kind of you to say. I I've you know, it is very hard not to compare yourself to other artists. Every artist does it, right? Like it's built into being an artist because you have to, at least I would say a good artist. If you want to be a good artist, you have to look at other art and you learn from other art, and then you make your own art, and you have to evaluate what's good about it and what's not good about it, and so on. And so you do the same with other artists, and you compare your art to theirs to learn from it. So the process of comparing is so built in to it, and it's really hard to break out of that, if it's even possible at all. Having said that, I do think that is something that artists should strive for, at least in some manner, right? Because it's very useful to learn how to draw or paint, and that's always helpful. But you don't wanna be no one or not no one, but generally, you don't wanna be a clone of another artist. So you have to find your own way and your own style and your own look and the nuances that make your art. And um, it's tough. And the thing that I try and remember is like, how can I put this? Frank Frazetta was an amazing artist. No one doubts that he's maybe the best, or if not the best, one of the all-time best fantasy painters that ever existed. But he wasn't the best comic book artist, and that's where he tried to make money in the beginning. It wasn't bad. I'm not saying he was bad, but his style and everything just didn't suit, comic books, or something about it just didn't fit in comics. Um, and another one is, what's his name? Um, oh my god, John Singer Sargent, arguably one of the best, portrait artists and so on. Uh, but he did a painting of, soldiers. It was like this big painting, and he's an amazing artist. There's no way to take that away from him. The painting's fantastic. However, if you wanted it to be a more gritty, realistic painting, or darker painting, or anything like that, his style, his interests, his stuff, just it wouldn't have produced that, you know what I mean? So, even, like, the best of the best aren't the best at everything, and that's hard to keep in mind, and also, it's hard to think that, realistically, you're probably not gonna be the best of the best, because, you know, who gets to be the best of the best? And you can add another wrench into that whole thing, where it's like, Van Gogh, is he really the best of the best? Like, he's one of the most famous artists out there. His stuff is, amazing. People love it, and it really connects with a ton of people. But is he the best of the best? In a lot of ways, he's definitely not. And that's another thing. You don't have to be the best of the best to be someone who makes something that people connect with, that influences people, that affects them, emotionally. You don't have to be like the best of the best to do that. Often, like, arguably, if Van Gogh was the best of the best, he might have not been able to connect with a lot of the people that he does. So it's very, very hard. Um, you know, it's a very, very difficult thing. And like I said, comparison is built into it, but at some point you have to kind of stop comparing to everybody else and kind of forge your own path to a degree. Obviously, you'll still compare to other people, but you need to kind of try and leave it behind and really do it your own way, kind of thing. Michael says my favorite was Bernie Wrightson, but again, wasn't the best painter. Uh, but fantastic pen and ink. Yeah, see, there you go. Like some people just, you know, like certain mediums, they like it hits different with them, and suddenly, that's the medium that like they are, you know, it's like their medium. I can tell you when what's it called? When I do when I draw, let me see. How can I phrase this? Um when I do comic book style drawings, right? Um I mean, there's obviously different types of ways of drawing, like um but when I do specifically like comic book style drawings that are going to be, penciled, then inked, then colored, like very much like this is for a comic book. Um in the past, I would do the drawing and be happy with it, and then I would ink it, and the I would feel like the drawing would just die on the page. And then I'd kind of revive it a little with my coloring. Um, it's just, like it speaks to my skill level with each one being a bit different and the combination of them. Funny enough, like I'm better at like drawing or drawing straight with ink, or digitally like inking from the beginning without the sketch stage kind of thing, because you can erase into it. You don't need to do the sketch stage necessarily. Um, yeah, like or if I do like straight up like you know ink quills and like dip ink, like with a ton of cross hatching and stuff like that suits me better than doing like the very like comic book style, thing. Yeah, for whatever reason, you know, it's just one of those things. I don't have a good explanation of it. Um, you know, like I said, when I do storyboards, you do rough in stuff, but it's the jump from rough to finish, not super finished anyways, because storyboards just aren't a super finished, um, medium. But the jump from rough to finish is much bigger. You're doing a lot of drawing in that, from one stage to the other. It's not, I'm sorry, inkers, I know you're not tracers, but it's very much not tracing. Like there's a huge, difference. Kind of like old school inking used to be. And then when it comes to like when I started getting into um, oil painting, originally I struggled a lot with oil painting because when you're new to something, obviously like it can be difficult. Once I got past that, um, I'm a far better oil painter than I am a uh, drawer, so to speak. There's just something about the medium and the way that things get structured just suits my mind better or whatever. And I just, yeah, so much easier for me. Obviously, drawing's still involved, but it's not the same type of drawing. So, yeah. Mm. Alrighty. Ooh, I have some mistakes I need to fix, and then I will go in and finish the painting. That's the plan, at least. Ooh, some of it's a little tacky. Everything else is very dry. But yeah, Bernie Wrightson was fantastic. Absolutely. Uh, I watched this recently. I watched this video of uh, there's a channel. I can't remember the name of the channel. Anyways, they do these different challenges where they watch like compilation type of videos, and they do a challenge of like try not to laugh, try not to dance, try not to say wow, whatever. For me, like it's a way of watching the compilations, which is nice. And sometimes what they say can also be very funny. It just kind of depends on who's there, who's doing the reaction, you know? Um, but like um one of the ones I watched recently was try not to dance or something like that. And the stuff that they would sing along to, or the things that would break them, were not always like the best, most amazing, you know, singing or music or whatever. But it was something that was like involved in their life that they listened to or a lot, or that like was a meme thing, and that was very catchy, and it became something that they joked with their friends, and it's like it's just became this thing. So, it's funny, even the simple things like that can be a big part of people's lives. Um, you don't have to be like the best musician to do that. And the same thing goes for art. All right. Let me oil out some of this right now. But yeah, that's why I try and tell people, like I really try and encourage people to make art for the experience of making art, and not to worry too much about, like, you know, how good they are at it. Um, if you're trying to make a career out of it, it's a little damn, that part was wet. If you're trying to make a career out of it, of course it's a little different, but not everybody is trying to make a career out of it. Not everybody should try and make a career out of it. And so I try and just encourage people to make art just to make art, because uh, it's a very uniquely human thing to do. Okay, some of this was wet too, damn it. Um, and I think people should embrace that. Oh well, some of this was wet and slightly ruined it, but I'll live with it. I don't have any choice, right? Like, um, and I will also say, oh, excuse me, my voice. One second. The other thing I was going to say is that even if you wanted to make it your profession, um, the artist and writer who did Bone, um, you know, he, he's really good at what he does, but I wouldn't call him like the best artist out there, you know. Um, but you can make a career out of that. No, I'm not saying it's easy because definitely not easy, but you can, and people have done that in many different ways. There's what is his name? I can't remember his name. There was this guy who was famous for famous in a like underground kind of way for like taking action figures and um remolding them and changing them into something different, and he was like famous in a underground type of community type of way, you know. Mhm. All right, so this part right here, I totally messed up the spot, but let's correct that right now. Roughly something like that. I'll definitely be putting more work into that. I just need it to be in the right place, roughly. Alrighty. And the area when with painting that I um I don't know if I want to say struggle with, but it's the area that I constantly have to like go back in and adjust as I do the painting is my edges of things like the lips here for instance. Mm, it's like as I paint, the edges of things, they have a tendency to just shift ever so subtly. And it's not, the biggest deal usually, although, or let me rephrase that. Usually a big deal in a way, but not in another way, in the sense that like, yeah, it shifts, and yes, I have to adjust it, but it's fairly easy to adjust this stuff, and to me, I just view it as kind of part of the process. But I will say, I think I'd paint a lot faster if I didn't have to always go back and make these adjustments again. Although I'm not sure, if I could paint the way I paint, uh, and not do that. I don't know. That's the only thing I'm not sure of. Like, I don't know if it's possible. Yeah, I definitely did some accidental smearing on her face and stuff, but like I said earlier, it's just part of the process. Like you mess something up, oh well, just gonna fix it. Obviously, I try not to mess stuff up, but it happens. Definitely happens. I also like to incorporate sometimes the mess ups into it, but just depends on the painting. Not every painting is really suited for that. Some are, some aren't. Just kind of depends. Ah, her nose, her nose. It's a little bit of work. Alrighty. Right now, if you see me trying to put down paint and nothing like goes seems to be going down, it's because I don't have enough paint on my brush, and it and or it's not fluid enough, and it just doesn't want to like leave the brush. So I'm just gonna mix up some more. That will help, and add some medium to make it more fluid. Also helps. All right. Paper towel. So that was all the major fixes I needed to do. I mean, obviously, I need to do more painting, but that was like, I kind of differentiate between uh, fixes for placement and painting a little bit. Actually, I was wrong. I think there's another bit more fixes I need to do. I was wrong. But the reason I differentiate between the two is because when I'm like fixing stuff, because I'm using my reference and my painting overlaid on top of each other, I can't really um, look at the nuance of the reference and the colors and the it's really way more just about placement of things. Oh, before I do that, 1 second. Because we're really getting into the details here. I think I should grab my glasses. Get the professor look going. Hair, gotta get the hair out. I try to limit the amount of hair that gets in the painting. with 3 cats and a dog and me, a little hard to actually limit how much hair that actually gets in the painting, but I try. I make an effort. My hair gets pretty much goes everywhere, and there's actually I actually have kind of a running joke because it's like it shows up just in so many different places that like one day I would not be surprised if I end up my DNA ends up showing up at a what's it called, at a crime scene in a state I've never been with people I've never met. It's just going to be like, yep, it just showed up there somehow. Okay. I think that is too dark. Uh, let's lighten that up a bit and desaturate it a little bit. He is a very pale individual. Mm, Alright, still need some smoothing, but yeah, that's the gist of it there. Okay. Now we're actually done with the fixes. So, and now we're really coming into like the end of the painting. Oh, one other thing to add in possibly. Oh, although this is a little, we'll see. Also not super important for the placement. But yeah. All right. Yeah. All righty. She has an earring, but I don't know. We'll see. Not the most important detail. Hey, Donley, welcome. Donley says, I'm lurking. The Elvira swagger is really coming through. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm finishing this up today on stream. There's more to do, but it's very much like the finishing, parts of it. So, how you doing, Donley? How was your stream on Thursday? Did I did I show up for part of it, or was that last time? I don't remember. I'm getting everything all confused. Hey, Des, welcome. How you doing? I bet you're probably tired from everything. Took the dogs on a walk and dropped off some donation stuff. Nice. Yeah, Des's charity event went really well. That's fantastic. Yes, tired, sore, still trying to de-stress. Yeah, it's really tough. It's when you're working so hard towards something, it's really hard sometimes when it's over. Actually, they found that the experience of it can be similar to, you know, um, like it can be similar to, someone dying or loss of some kind because you're working towards this big thing and then it's over and then you're left with like even if you got something out of it, like but you no longer have that goal and that thing and it can be um real tough experience to go through. And it's something that, artists do routinely because we often have like a goal that we're working towards and then, even if it's just a painting, you're working towards getting a painting done and then it ends and then you're working towards the next one. So one of the things they say is to always have a few things kind of ready to go that you're working on in the background a little and you're kind of working on them on the side so that when one thing ends, you can ramp up the other things so you don't have that, you don't sit with that feeling too much and it doesn't, overtake you or anything like that. Hey, Cookie Monster, welcome. Nice to see how the Elvira painting is developing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I haven't worked on it at all when I'm not streaming, so it's very much like a stream painting that I'm doing. So it's been, kind of slow. Stream paintings are always slow. Like you know, if a stream is 2 hours, and there's the setup time sometimes in the beginning of the stream, and then I'm chit chatting with people and stuff. It's always a slower process, which is absolutely fine. How are you doing? How have things been with you and your new what was it? It was like you were adding a compound to your paint that made it like clay. No, it's not clay, but you were able to get like 3D elements into it a bit more. How's that been going? I think today I made her eyes a little darker last than the last time you saw it. Yes, I did. I just did some of that too. Her eyes are um it's a weird kind of optical illusion happening with her eyes. Um they they seem a lot bigger than they are. Um because when I superimpose my painting and the reference, I can see that like I made the eyes larger, and I'm constantly doing that with her because there's just something about how like her makeup just makes it seem like they're kind of larger. So it's interesting. You're mixing acrylics with birdcage sand. That's what it was. I mean, they probably have compounds that are designed for that. I also know there's an acrylic paint that is on purpose, like very, very thick. So you can use it with like, the word I'm looking for. Like you can use it like with piping for, like cake piping stuff, you know how they put frosting on things? Like you can really build it up like that, like to that degree. I don't remember the brand, but I've seen commercials for it. Supposedly it dries, and doesn't shrivel when it dries. But yeah, we've been working on two other big paintings at the moment and haven't really dealt with the experimentations. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I have an experiment that I'm working on over here, and it's just been sitting there for a while because I haven't gotten to it. Cookie Monster says, "You mean with gel medium?" Um, so n- um, so the paint that I was referring to, there's a brand that just specializes in that, and their paint just out of the tube comes like their tubes are huge because they're not they're like bags. They're not even tubes because the paint is so either bags or buckets because the paint has so much um like volume to it. It's very I don't want to say just thick because it's not just that it's thick, it's just it holds its shape. There's like volume to it. And then the other thing is, yeah, like mediums like gel, like there's for oil paint, I have impasto medium, which is a medium that's just, you know, it's yeah, it's thicker and it holds its shape more. So I wish I could remember the brand specifically for you, but I don't remember. But yeah, they definitely have like impasto mediums or clay or something like that. Yeah, you see more like a mounting kit that painters use. Not sure what that would be. Not familiar with that. There is so much yeah, there are definitely a ton of things out there. There are certain mediums that, like, it's almost like you have to put it on, you don't mix it with the paint, you put it on the canvas before you paint, and so you can kinda sculpt with it to a degree, and then you let it dry, and then you paint over it, and to get the that's how you get the volume. Like, there's tons of different ways of doing it. Yeah, Dez's event, went really well. I'm really happy to, be a small part of it, so, thank you, Des, for letting me, you know, help with that. But yeah, it was what's it called? Uh, a charity event where they auctioned off paintings, for a, like, rehab center, and their, what was it? It's in Canada, so their local member of parliament, in the House of, Commons participated, or well, participated in the auction and bought one of the paintings, and next year, I guess she agreed to be one of the models, so they'll do a painting of her, which is awesome. And then, there's some other things that I don't know if, Des mentioned, I don't know if I can actually mention it, so I'm not going to, but yeah, sounds like a cool event, and, I'm so glad it went well. Alrighty. Yeah, today we're gonna start hitting the black, uh, contrast, I think, pretty hard for a lot of this because, you know, we're getting to that point in the painting. I also, like, usually I have a liner brush. I don't use my liner brush all that much, so I don't even bother taking it out most of the time because, like, I really most of the time don't even touch it because I don't need it. I don't know that I'm going to need it, but I preemptively got it ready because, you know, when you start getting to the very fine details, yeah, that's when I need to break out the liner brush. Still trying to keep just a little bit off of the blackest black, but yeah. How'd your stream go, Donley? I'm trying to remember. I thought I stopped by for a little while. Um, but I've been so busy this week that I feel like my days are kind of blending together in my brain, and I'm not sure. For those who don't know, Donley does stream on Twitch. Um, and does digital art there. And it's a lot of fun stuff. So I do recommend his streams, yeah, especially if you like pop culture related kind of stuff and funny, silly stuff that goes with the art. Not trying to take away from the art in any way. I just mean like that's kind of his like he does have some of that personality to go with it, make it very entertaining. Do I ever play music in the background, or do you have music playing in your earbuds? I have music playing in my earbuds. I don't play it in the background because, well, there's a few reasons. First of all, on YouTube, I will get copyright strikes if I play the music I like to listen to. If I play music that is copyright approved, I generally don't like to listen to it. So I don't really want to listen to it. And I figure if I don't want to listen to it, most other people probably don't want to listen to it. So why bother? Uh, Also, if you want to listen to music, by all means, you can listen to whatever music you want. You don't have to listen to the music I listen to. And that's also another issue. A lot of the people who watch me probably won't like the music I tend to listen to. Maybe some of it, some people will, but not everybody. So I just don't deal with that kind of thing. Cookie Monster says, I love playing music to get me in a specific emotional mood for painting. Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. And I do that as well. That says copyright risk. Absolutely. Um, I can put on nice Elvis record, Lamau. I don't, nope. I'm pretty sure I can't. Um, there might be some kind of Halloween spooky music that I could put on for Elvira specifically, but copyright is rough with music, especially on YouTube. Twitch is way more relaxed about that. That's one of the things that a lot of people like about streaming on Twitch, because their copyright management system and the way they ding you for that is not nearly as robust as YouTube. However, um, I do multi-stream, and it's just not worth it. I understand I wouldn't risk copyright. Yeah. Like I said too, the other issue is that like I don't think that or rather, let me rephrase that. I know not everyone's going to want to listen to my music. Um, I know that without music, it's a little bare, but I figure for the most part, people can either put on music if they really want to listen to music, or they're doing something else and may not want the music on anyways. But yeah, like you know, I mean, right now, like the song I I would want, or one thing I thought about doing is maybe having a playlist running um while I'm painting so that people can, if they want to, they could listen to the same thing I'm listening to. But um, yeah, I haven't prepared well enough to do that. But like right now, I'm listening to Nirvana. Um, it's a what is it? I'm just listening to a random playlist, so whatever comes up comes up. Right now, it's Nirvana. Next, it could be Sleep Token or Rage Against the Machine or Slipknot. You know, or old school Eminem, or who knows? I don't know what else. There's some pop mixed in there. Metric comes up every once in a while. Um, oh, oh, trying to think who else. I mean, it's a huge variety. Although I tend to stick. I tend to go more towards rock and stuff like that. Some painters channels play some music with which I think is AI generated, but I find it very annoying. How cool, you have great taste in music. Thank you, appreciate that. But I know not everyone likes that type of music. That's fine. But yeah, no, there there is music that is copyright safe, but I'm not going to enjoy listening to it. It's very much background music. You know what I mean? Very much falls into the category of background music. Now, on if I was only streaming on Twitch, you can get away with a lot more, but I don't only stream on Twitch, and I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna keep streaming on Twitch. They've been having some real issues lately, and I don't know. Twitch will mute the video later in the copyrighted spots. True, but if you are streaming on Twitch, you can set it up. Like, this is their workaround. You can set it up so that it has two separate audio tracks, and one it keeps and one it discards. Um, so the music, you can put it on the one that it discards or that it mutes, so that, in the VOD, he'll only have you speaking and there won't be the music. So you don't get dinged for copyright. But a YouTube system is way more robust. If you play it live, it will tell you, I think sometimes it will tell you live now, and it will um, it will mute those areas too, and you can get you can get like a strike on your channel too. So yeah, it's just not worth it. That's why I'm very worried about, like, if I configure something wrong and you can suddenly hear my music, either because I have the wrong thing playing, or my microphone just picks up the headphones. I had that happen once and I got a strike on my channel. This was years and years ago. It wasn't really a big deal. But yeah, it literally picked up the music from my headphones, um, and got me in trouble. Cookie Monster says, "I love the black you just added." Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely bringing her, you know, uh, to the forefront and adding a lot of depth to this. But I still want to keep some of this, like, less dark areas, because I do want to be able to show some of the nuance of, like, how the hair is, folding and catching the shine and everything. Uh, John, John, wait, is it John's Mark, or is it, yeah, or is it John Mark? John Mark or Jones? Is it Jones or John? I'm bad with names. It says, I've been able to play music on Twitch, but not the originals. Covers don't get struck, so I could play Teddy Swim's YouTube covers and be fine. I like Teddy Swim. He's good. And independent artists also, people people also play independent artists as well. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, is it Jonas? Is that the is that am I Am I getting it right now? Jonas? Jonas Mark? Welcome. How are you doing today? What are you up to, and how's your weekend going? I am tempted to get one of my, I have a brush, I have a couple brushes that are a little frayed. I'm tempted to grab one for her hair here to get some of that, like, the hair, what's it called? The hair strands, like, to give it different levels and so on. I this is one of those areas where, like, there's no right answer, but I always struggle with this because, you know, you can, like, effect brushes are awesome because they do exactly what they say. They give you the effect that you're looking for, and that's useful. However, I don't want to be an artist who, like, relies on effects like that, but it is also useful at the same time and a shortcut. It's such a hard, like, balancing act between the 2. Like, I don't wanna fall into the category as much as I love him, but I don't wanna fall into that category of, like, what's his name? Bob Ross, you know? Like, he just relied on different effects to accomplish things. I mean, that's an extreme, but still. And then, I can't remember the name of this artist. There's an artist, but I, for the life of me, cannot remember his name right now. He's known for mostly painting in gouache, but he does digital art and a lot of other stuff. I've seen him do a whole landscape and use nothing but a hardware brush that can't even change size during during the stroke. So he can change the brush size, but only in between brush strokes. And he still did a fantastic job and made an amazing landscape. Now, it doesn't always work as well with people, but it's doable. I've seen people do color studies that way as well, where they break the painting into a grid and they only paint inside of the grid, by filling up the squares, kinda like pixel art. That's one of the reasons that a lot of times I actually will paint hair, or parts of hair at least, perpendicular to the direction it's going. Um, I'm talking about, like, my brush strokes, not that I changed the direction of the hair, but the brush strokes that I use, just so that I can, um, not fall into that trap of, um, like, the effects trap kinda thing. Oh, better give my camera a minute to relax so it doesn't overheat. That's a good opportunity to stretch. This says my sister is starting a fire and our wood stove smells so good. Yeah. Yeah, yes. I love the smell of like a bonfire and stuff like that. Usually, there are exceptions, but yeah, absolutely. It says so glad I didn't get rid of it when I bought the house. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, the guaranteed heat source if you lose power in the winter. Yeah, yeah. We in 2021 I'm in Austin, Texas, and we were without power for 2 weeks, and our heating is electrical, so no heat. It was a big winter storm, and we didn't have heat, and we were trapped. Um, we couldn't even leave because the roads were iced over, and you know, we people had tried to leave, and they had literally slid off the side of the road because you just can't like if you don't have the setup for it, you just can't keep the traction. And yeah, it sucked. So absolutely. Yeah, we couldn't even heat up any food either because electrical. We have no gas at all. So now because of that I bought a camping stove so that we can in theory at least cook food if it ever happens again. I wanted to get a generator for the house, but they are too expensive. My dad actually just installed what's it called? Uh, a wood um, heater into his house. Yeah. That says my daughter's kind of a prepper. She got us a generator and some supplies. That's good. I mean, it's good to have. Like I said, I wanted to get a generator. It's just um, it was too expensive, for a big enough generator to kind of run the power of the house. A smaller generator, is theoretically doable, but I don't know what it would accomplish necessarily. I guess maybe like we could run a space heater, maybe. It just seemed like it didn't entirely make sense for the price kind of thing. Especially because we do have a car. We can always like in theory go in the car and use the car as a generator in that sense. So I don't know. I did get like a large backup battery. It's like a camping battery so that we can like charge our phones and stuff like that. But yeah, we have salt trucks and plows, and even if we get a few feet of snow during a blizzard, it's cleared in a day or so from the roads. See, here we don't get any of that. So, um, and they are completely unprepared for any of that. So we don't get anything. So like they like I said, we were stuck here because the snow or the ice on the road took like a week and a half to till it melted off. And it was just like ice, and I don't have what's it called? Um, you know, chains for my tires. I don't change my tires for winter, um, because there's generally no need for it. They don't have plows, they don't salt the roads, they don't do any of that. And the reason, I mean, it kinda makes sense, but also doesn't entirely, is because we don't get that kinda snow or that kinda storms here, 99% of the time, right? But it does feel like there should be some kind of emergency, you know, something. I mean, but, you know, it is Texas, and they don't care because it's all about profit, not the people. So, but because people did lose, people lost their lives that during that storm. So, but they don't care. But yeah, would be nice if they had something to help, in those situations. That was the year, or the storm that, what was it? Ted Cruz booked a, like, when the news of the storm coming, happened. He was just like, took off to, I think it was, or was it Cancun or something like that, just so that he wouldn't have to be here during the storm. Yeah, I generally don't talk about politics on my, what's it called, on my channel, because this isn't the place for that. But fuck that guy. That says must be nice to have that luxury. Oh yeah, very nice. Took his whole family with him, you know. Yeah, very, very nice. And then the power company tried to blame it on, renewable energy. They tried to they tried to blame the power outages on, like, the renewable energy aspect of their infrastructure, and, this may come as a surprise, but that was not the problem. Yeah, I know. Shocking to hear, that was not the problem. The two major problems, in case you're curious, were that they didn't insulate their power lines where they made at the power plants. They didn't insulate them enough because we never get these kind of storms. So they didn't insulate them. Um, I don't know if it was their coolant lines or something, but they froze over. Or maybe the gas lines. I don't know, but it froze basically because they didn't want to pay money to insulate the power those power lines or whatever they are. And then the other thing was because they don't want Texas to be connected to the rest of America's what's it called power grid because they don't want to share the money, right? They want to keep their monopoly. So Texas is a separate power grid from the rest of America. Like so they couldn't, share power and help people because of that. So it's all just greed and money. Just in case anyone was curious, like what could have it actually have been? That's what it was. Cookie Monster says we have elections next week in my country, but I don't want to vote because they never do what they promise. We have about 40 parties, political parties. Well, they never do what they what they say. But you know, um, as much as it would be nice if they did, and sometimes they do a little bit, not all, but a little bit. And also, unfortunately, as you may have, you might be seeing right now, sometimes it's important just to vote the least bad option. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the really bad option's really bad. But I don't know what all the politics in your neck of the woods are, so maybe it's not that bad. I hope it's not that bad. It says learn from America, vote to prevent the assholes getting in. I mean, a lot of them are already in, but still, you want to get you know the least worst of the options. Yes. Cookie Monster says, "Yeah, that's what my family said to me. I think I might vote to please my girlfriend." Yeah, this is it. It gets hard to tell the difference sometimes. I get it. Yeah, absolutely. Donley says, "Yay, least worst." Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing you have to keep in mind, right? If it's really, really hard to tell them apart, like truly hard to tell them apart, that's either a very bad situation or a relatively good situation, right? So, there could be a positive to it, right? Because at least in theory, it's like if if they're both, relatively the same, you know, then at least you're not the consequences aren't that bad, relatively speaking. Says Stanley, did you see what I told you earlier about Leon's Vinny? Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, you 2 were talking. Yeah. I need more red. But yeah, I mean, that's something to consider, or to keep in mind at least. Like, it could be a good thing. 3 Monster says the extremes of the political parties in my country are very far apart. Yeah, but, well, um, hopefully they also don't have a lot of power. That's the thing, right? You want it to be kinda more moderate to a degree, yeah. Even if you agree with one side of the extreme, you have to consider everybody, you know what I mean? So having it tempered a little bit and not as extreme is often a positive regardless. Even if you agree with them, even if all they want to do is all just the good stuff, right? Like even if you had like the side of like, the good guys and all they wanted to do is good stuff. If you have people who are opposed to it, it still might be better to do a little less of it to be more, moderate so that everyone gets along better, if that makes sense. But hey, that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. I'm definitely not a politician. I don't think I ever, you know, could be a politician. So, I mean, for one, I actually try to accomplish or, I make a real effort to do the things I say I'm going to do. Don't always succeed. I at least intend to at least do them. So that alone probably disqualifies me. All right, I am going to use this is a fan brush that I got. Um, this is from I think it's Jeff Hines's fan brush from Rosemary and Co. It's a partner between an artist and Rosemary. I will never buy this brush because it is hog hair, or I think it's hog hair. It's natural fibers either way, meaning it's from an animal. So I will never buy this brush. However, I was at um, I was at Portrait Society and he gave it to me for free. We were, hanging out. He just handed it to me. So I have it. So I will use it, but I will never buy it. So I have not used it since he gave it to me 2 plus years ago. I figure give it a shot now, see what it's like. For anyone who's curious why I'm saying all that, it's because I don't use natural fiber hairs. I I don't want anything that, you know, that's made from animals. Um, I don't feel comfortable. I don't think we need it. A lot of what's it called? Um, I think the synthetic brushes are absolutely fine. There's no real reason for these. I mean, you know, I get why artists use them for lots of reasons. They are sometimes cheaper, sometimes, um, there's all kinds of reasons to use it. Having said that, I still won't ever buy them because I don't feel comfortable with it. Miata is very anti-synthetic, right? So am I, by the way, to be honest. Yeah, 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 absolutely. That says, I think I'm going to do more digital stuff soon. I want to practice some stuff, so I'll try it digitally. That's cool. Cooking Monster says, great, a fan brush. Bob Ross would be pleased, lol. Yes, a lot of artists do use fan brush, but yes, absolutely. It's, you know what it is, or not what it is, but one of the things, it's been sitting here on my little, like, my little thing, not desk, but my little, like, painting, where my, like, brushes are and everything, and my paint, and it's just been sitting there for, uh, 2 years now. I'm just like, you know, I might as well. It really is kind of perfect for what I want right now, but yeah, there are other ways to pull this off, but it's just kind of very perfect for this. Cookie Monster says, "I have one too, almost never use it, LOL." I think I have another one actually. This one is not the fullest fan in the you can see it doesn't go all the way around. It's like a short fan. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I literally it's just been sitting here for like 2 years. Um, so Donley says, speaking of digital, I took a screen cap of your painting because I saw a face starting to form in the marks on it, and painted it out in Krita and then posted it in your Discord. LOL. Okay, I'll take a look at it. Screen cap of my palette. Okay, not painting. That makes more sense. Sorry, I misread that. Cookie Monster says, Donnelly, that's awesome. I saw a face in his palette too. That's funny. There's this artist, I'm trying to remember his name. It's like, Naismith or something. I'm trying to remember his, he made YouTube videos. He's like he does, landscape paintings in, like, really bright colors and stuff. I really liked his videos. He pretty much stopped doing videos, I think, um, or at least I haven't seen any new ones from him. But I've seen back this years ago, he did some paintings where, and he would do almost, he's doing a landscape and he does almost the whole painting with a fan brush and really kind of destroys the brush if we're being honest. Um, that's why he uses supposedly cheap brushes because he kind of knows he's going to destroy it. But yeah, it was interesting. This says I used to see all sorts of things in Scordella's palettes, and I'd tell him what I saw, and he'd squint and never see it. Haha. Um, yeah, and that's funny. What's his name? Used to he would uh oh my god, I'm blanking on his. Oh, Nicholas Uribe and his live streams. He sometimes would actually he would try and see it, and if he saw it, he would like draw into it or paint into it on his palette, which was fun. Okay. Oh, hey, hello. Welcome, new chatter. Sobi, is it Sobi? If I'm getting that wrong, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I apologize. It is oil paint, like Des says. I have two chats, by the way. I have a YouTube chat and a Twitch chat. So a new person came into the Twitch chat. In case anyone's like, who is he talking to? That's who I'm talking to. Person in Twitch chat. But yeah, it is oil paint. Are you an artist, by the way? Sobi, once again, tell me if I'm getting your name wrong, please. I'll try and just. Um, but yeah, well, I have nothing against uh, paintings made in acrylics. I do not enjoy the process of painting with acrylics. I don't use acrylic. Although I may at some point start using fluid acrylics to kind of block things in real fast or something. I don't know, maybe. Des says, "Wow, account created 7 minutes ago for Sobi. Interesting. Yeah, newbie, absolutely new account. If you're more comfortable on YouTube, I'm also on YouTube, so you can go there if Twitch is not your thing. I don't know. I'm conflicted on Twitch overall. I'll be honest. If anybody doesn't know, there's a lot of Twitch drama happening right now. And I don't know, as a platform, I've had some issues with them for years now. So we'll see. Don Lee says Twitch drama? Question mark. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Have you been able to avoid all of it? Not hear anything about it? Good for you. If you don't care to get into now, don't wanna distract from your stream, but maybe, you can let me know later. I haven't been on Twitch as much lately. Oh, yeah, I mean, there was, TwitchCon just happened, and, they, um, they claimed that they were going to have really good security, and they, did not. And, it was kind of a and then there was a bunch of other things happened too. It was like a mess. Like, they just handled, some situations really poorly. Um, you know, yeah, just stuff like that. Like, you know, their security was really bad. Someone got assaulted. Some other people, some other streamers, like had their meet and greet, had a lot of issues with their meet and greet. Uh, Des says, didn't someone get really hurt at TwitchCon a few years ago? Yes, a streamer really severely injured her back. Um, they had like one of those foam pits where you were supposed to stand on this platform. They had two platforms for two people. You're supposed to stand on this platform and like fight each other with foam. You know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you know, sticks, and you were supposed to fall into the foam, you know, pool around it, and not, you know, so you wouldn't get hurt, right? Like that. I think everyone kind of understands the concept, right? Well, it wasn't deep enough, and it was actually very, very shallow, and this streamer essentially broke part of her back, and had to have major surgeries to correct it. And yeah, Conley says, I did hear about a popular female streamer getting assaulted, but hadn't heard anything beyond that. Yeah, that happened. And then people who brought gifts for streamers, um, the venue was just tossing them in the trash instead of giving them to the streamers for them, like, meet and greet, which, not the biggest deal in the world. Like, it sucks, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. But also they delayed working with police to identify the individual who did assault that streamer, allowing that person to essentially flee the state. Um, if they hadn't, if they might have been able to stop him from leaving the state. I mean, they could have detained him to begin with, right? Like you'd think, but if I guess if you're not going to do that, at least work with law enforcement instead of requiring them to get a warrant and wait for that to happen. I don't know. And there's been other things too unrelated to TwitchCon that I really am not going to get into, but that have also been issues. And I'm just like, I don't know about Twitch. I love the art community on Twitch. There's so many, you know, there's so many cool people on Twitch who use Twitch, and the community is pretty strong. But everything else about it, I'm not a fan of, you know? I mean, look, these are all mega billion corporations. Like, let's not be fanboys of any of these companies, honestly. That's my feeling on it, right? Like, YouTube is owned by Google, of course, everyone knows that. Um, Twitch is owned by Amazon, right? So, you know, I use their services. There are, reasons to use their services, of course, but doesn't mean that I'm necessarily a fan of all of them. Yeah, same thing. I use Amazon, right? Like I still use Amazon. I don't want to. I wish, but sometimes, hey, sometimes you need things fast. Sometimes like it is what it is, right? Doesn't mean I don't want them to. I don't want the what's it called? Um, the state to mandate, that they get more breaks or something because like they need to treat their employees right. But yeah, it's tough. But when you get, when I was younger, I don't think I saw politics in everything as much as it feels like now it's kind of injected into everything. Um, but yeah, you know, I don't think that like, hey, let's treat people well and make sure that they make enough money and that people can live and we treat them like humans is all that political of a statement. And if it is, I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. Cookie Monster says, Leon, can I ask, did you go to art school or just learn by yourself? So, yeah, absolutely. More than welcome to ask. Yeah, I did both. I mean, obviously, I don't think there's an artist out there who doesn't learn by themselves. Having said that, I did go to an art school, but my art journey was kind of, um, it wasn't a straight line, right? So there's a lot of twists and turns in it. Um, and so, like, when I went to art school, there were no schools for, no, let me rephrase that. There was one school, but there was only one school for like comic book related art, which is what I wanted to do. And I couldn't afford that school. It was out in New Jersey. It was expensive. So I went to an art school that taught the basics and taught more like illustration, basically. Um, and they did teach oil painting um, and acrylics and other things. And I learned acrylics. I didn't touch oils. I didn't want to deal with oils because of the toxicity. Funny enough, um, but so I learned how to paint in acrylics. Although I learned a very kind of convoluted way of painting in acrylics that I don't really care for. Um, and it was an uncredited art school, which for anyone who doesn't know what that means, hey, welcome, Vociferal. How are you doing today? Hope I got that right. Um, so for anyone who doesn't know what an uncredited art school, it basically means I wouldn't get a degree from it. I just got the experience from it, you know. Um, yeah. And then I went all digital after that, which my school didn't teach digital at all. I pretty much taught myself digital. Um, and then um, and then I took some classes for other things. Like I took a class for storyboarding at one point years ago. And then I I did take some oil painting classes eventually, but I basically learned how to oil paint by myself first and then took some classes to kind of get better. Although I kind of wish I'd taken the classes earlier because the things I struggled with were some of the like early stage stuff, and a teacher could have really helped me get past that a lot faster, I think. Uh, oh, Luciferol is a Pox pal. Hey, welcome. It's been forever. Luciferol says your streams are very late for are usually very late for me, but right now it's not even midnight. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, Luciferol. He means pink eye. Yes, absolutely. Cookie Monster says, I see. Very nice to hear how your art journey went. I did a 4-year uncredited art school too. I left after 2 years. This one didn't really have like a standard amount of time, although I did go there for like 3 years. Um, for part of that, I actually worked there and uh, to help pay for it because who can afford, art school? Lucifer also says Pox Pal sounds very cool or dangerous, you know. Um, but yeah, how have you been? It's been a long time. Yeah. So my streams on Sunday are usually around this time. They start a bit earlier, uh, and then yeah, about this time. And on Wednesdays, they're usually a little later for sure. For anyone who's curious who Pink Eye or Pox Pals is, Pink Eye Poxy was a streamer on Twitch who had a pretty large community, and that was the first art community I kind of joined. And they were awesome. It was a great art community. Pinky or Pink Eye was fantastic and really connected to a bunch of other communities. And she was also a really great painter and a really sweet individual. I really wish she still streamed, but yeah, what can you do? People move on and go into different things. Um, yeah. Uh, Vociferal says, last time I was here, I got recommended Portrait Artist of the Year, and now I'm watching season 3, enjoying the heck out of it. Nice. Yeah, Portrait Artist of the Year, good show, a lot of fun. And you're, if you've never watched it, you're kind of in luck because you have a bunch of seasons to work through, you know? But yeah, there was a bunch of streamers at the time. It was like Pink Epoxy was streaming, and Scrodello was streaming, and uh, so many others. I'm forgetting on names. This girl says a reflection on the hair looks great from a distance. Oh, thank you. But I'm on a teeny phone screen. Fair enough. It's I'm gonna. It's one of those things. I'll paint back into it and paint back out of it, and then pull out like very specific highlights that I choose. So it's gonna have some. It'll have some more adjustments as I go. One of the problems with working with such dark paint is that when I switch over to lighter paint, I tend to still have some of that paint stuck in my brush. The portrait series is really inspiring. Wait, oh, Vociferal says, I'm actually trying to paint tonight too. Oh, that's great. Good. Good. So, Cookie Monster, why'd you end up leaving after 2 years? Why didn't you stay the full 4 years of your art school? If you don't mind me asking. And of course, you're welcome to not answer. Yeah, the portrait series, yeah, I agree. I think it's really good and inspiring. I don't always agree with their choices, but other than that, it's good. Christopher also says the expression reads very well from the distance too. That's some skill. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, you're in school, Christopher? What are you in school for? Oh, you got too depressed to go with that. Okay. Well, sometimes you need a break, right? Don't give up on your ambitions and dreams, but sometimes, you know, sometimes you do need to step away. It just kind of depends. You were in school for printmaking. Interesting. Oh, Cookie Monster says, I didn't like the main teacher and I learned almost nothing about technique. Well, that's a bad school. It was a good experience, though. It was in Amsterdam, Europe. I did like that. I mean, that sounds lovely, that aspect of it, you know. The rest of it, not so much. All right, let's see. Do a quick stretch here. So I paint standing up. So a lot of times when I stretch, um, you know, stretching on the floor type of thing. Uh, Vociferal says, and how are you? I'm doing all right. I wanted to finish this painting today, but I'm looking at the time and I'm worried I don't think I will get to finishing it, which is a little disappointing. I mean, let me put it this way. I could finish this painting in 30 minutes from right now, but it would be the type of thing where it's like I'm rushing to finish it and then just calling it done, right? It's not how I actually want to finish it. Um, you know, but yeah. I mean, it's close, but it's just that it's, you know, there's just more details to still get in there. And I'm looking at the time. I just don't know that I'll be able to do it today, but we'll see. Actually, I have two commissions that I'm working on. And so technically I like when I'm done with this, I'll take a break. When I'm done with stream, I'll take a break. Go probably eat something, and then I'll come back, switch out the paintings, and work on the commissions. Only reason I'm not doing the commissions on stream is because it's Halloween. So, you know, fuck, no, Halloween month or whatever. So I figured I would do it, you know, Halloween themed. So that's why Elvira. All right, 1 second. Oh yeah, I wanted to see Don Lee's palette painting overlay thing. Oh, Don Lee, that's cool. I like that. That's pretty cool. That's cute. I don't know if this will go through, but I'll try it. Ah, it's too long even for me. On I was trying to post the link for people to see it on YouTube, but I can't. I'm sorry, Donley. Um, let's see. Mr. Furl says, I'm struggling even more than I expected because my palette is white and the canvas is midtone. Yeah, I feel that. Uh, let's see. Mr. Furl says, which is why I'm in chat, procrastinating and complaining. Um, oh, did you? Oh, I'm sorry, Cookie Monster. Uh, No, I didn't think I didn't know that it was gonna make that sound. I would have muted. They're all good. No, I just drinking caffeinated water. Vociferal, if you're struggling because your palette is white and your canvas is midtone, um, if your palette is glass and you can find something that's midtone to put behind it, obviously that's an obvious solution. Um, If you can't, and I'm assuming you can't because otherwise you probably would have done that, um, then what I would say is try mixing, try matching your midtone with paint. So make a pool, a pile of paint and match the midtone of your canvas. And then you have a pile like this on your palette of the same color, so at least you have something to compare it directly to, right? Cookie Monster says, can I ask how many portraits did you paint so far? um you mean like in my lifetime? I have no idea. Do comic book characters count? I I have no idea. Um, yeah, you know, I mean, do you count, charcoal drawings of people done from, models or from pictures as studies? Um, if you do, no for the comic book characters. Okay. Um, like the paintings you have on your, like the paintings you have on your palette now. Okay, so just painting, like just oil paintings. Um, I mean, what I guess it would have to be at least over 100. Um, if we're not including charcoal drawings and of models, or acrylic paintings or digital drawings of people. We're not including any of that, just oil painting. It's at least 100 plus. Um, yeah, at least. I don't know how much, but at least 100 plus. If we're adding in like just stuff directly from models or photos, like, classical stuff, um, I, you know, I mean, it depends on how finished you want to, like, what your bar of like, you know, like if it's a sketch versus like a complete rendering, um, that would easily be over the years. I mean, I don't know, easily into the thousands, I'm assuming. Because I mean, at art school, we used to do, figure drawing and portraits and all that type of stuff. So yeah. Cookie Monster says, "Oh wow, 100 is pretty much. Would you exhibit them somewhere? That would be awesome." Well, I mean, I've shown a lot of. Most of them are shown. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. A lot of them are on my website too. So yeah, definitely. Um, I've exhibited them already at the art fair and stuff. So yeah, I had. I'm trying to remember. Um, exactly, but, like, I think from the, like, daily paintings series or something like that, I think I went into, like, the 40 roughly just on those, plus I had, more, and then, of course, I do have failed ones, it's not like all of them are successful, um, but yeah, definitely a lot. Donley says, "Okay, I gotta get started getting ready for Discord stuff, take care, everyone." Hey, no worries. Thanks for stopping by, Donley, appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, Cookie Monster. I appreciate that. Alrighty, where was I? We're at 2.5 hours. All right. Um, I'm trying to gauge if I have another half hour in me right now. Already five. I don't think I do. Or rather, I don't think I should. I think I should take a break, and because I'm just I have this other commissions that I have to work on too. Hmm. All right. Hold on a second. Dresden, welcome. Say goodbye to everybody. Mr. Farrell says taking breaks is very important. It is. I can push, but it's not smart of me to do. This is Dresden. Yes, I get. He was already awake, for the record. I did not wake him up just for this, even though he looks sleepy. Cookie Monster says, Liad, is that a self-portrait in the background? Yes, it is. This portrait right here, this one, it was, I think, 2021. I won the Jerry's Artorama self-portrait competition with, um, which was really cool. Um, I've done a lot of self-portraits, not like uh, an insane amount, but I've done quite a few, a lot more than I like. I don't like doing self-portraits, but it's it's sometimes, like, you know, what you gonna do? I'm always available, I can always pose and light myself. I can't do that with, other models, you know? That says Dresden painting is there too. Yeah, yeah, Dresden painting is right there. Right there, right there. Oop. Vociferal says, "My dogs are always goofy, derping." This cat is very much a derpy boy. He's not very bright, and he lives up to the orange cat, what's it called? Uh, Stereotypes a lot, but right now he's very, just kinda sleepy, so he looks dignified, but he definitely isn't most of the time. He looks so he is not serious. I have another cat that is very serious. He is not very serious at all. Most of the time, he is derpy. Never mind, he bit his own tail. Oh, yeah, no, his tail, the funniest thing is him when he tries to go after his tail and, tries to actually catch it and it moves when he moves, so he does circles. Yep. For a while, he was scared of my monitor because he thought there was a cat in my monitor. He was afraid of the cat in my monitor. It was him that he saw because it was on stream, like this, and he saw himself and he got scared of the cat in the monitor. And so he was just afraid of my monitor for a while, even when it was off. He was hesitant to be near it. Cookie Monster says, "Oh, I just love cats." I do too. They're adorable. They're dumb, but they're adorable. And then one day he just forgot that he was ever scared of my monitor. Get your tail. Get it. Get it. But he's also very sweet, which is, you know, he he makes up for everything by being pretty and sweet. Isn't that right, Tristan? He's very gentle too. Like I can I'll let him he'll bite my hand. Like I can play with him. Like I can do this and he bites me, but he bites gently. He is a very sweet cat. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go. Thank you everyone for hanging out. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I didn't finish the painting today. I will finish it on Wednesday or Sunday. I will be streaming on Wednesday if every No, I'm not streaming on Wednesday. Take that back. Stream is usually on Wednesday, not this Wednesday. I can't. I will reschedule um to either Tuesday or Thursday. I'm not sure, but it can't be Wednesday. So, no stream on Wednesday. I will reschedule, but yeah, sorry about that. Okay. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you all. And yeah, I don't know. I was supposed to say something else, but that's it. Have a great rest of your weekend if you have any weekend left. Bye.